Welcome to Out of Home Insider, the loudest voice in out of home. Today's guest is Bob Johns. Bob is the president of BOLDSITE Media. BOLDSITE Media creates immersive digital brand experiences at destination retail and entertainment landmarks like the Grandscape Lifestyle Center in Texas and the 3.2 million square foot American Dream Mall just minutes outside of New York City. Coming up through the ranks as an account executive, Bob's story is a timeless example of being curious and willing to evolve. Bob shares how he made the jump from broadcast television to out of home and how he never looked back. We talk extensively about the American Dream property, a top 10 destination retail and entertainment center with the largest indoor ski slope in the United States, the largest indoor theme park, a wave pool where a famous New York Yankee allegedly took early morning surf lessons, and loaded with premium retail. And with 138 synchronized digital screens, the opportunity to reach a sophisticated New York area audience with disposable income, destination retail is sure to be one of the hottest opportunities of the year for brands that want to create immersive experiences and contextual moments. So, without further ado, let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Out of Home Insider Show, a podcast like no other, hosted by the one and only Tim Rowe. Get ready to have some knowledge dropped on you and to be entertained, because nothing's more valuable than food for your brain. So sit back, relax, we're about to dive in as the best industry podcast is about to begin.
Boom, here we are. Bob, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And obviously love the lid. So thanks for representing on our podcast here. So
absolutely. I tell people
it's a long time coming, by the way. We've been talking about this for way too long. So
I know. It feels like a million years ago, and the business has evolved so much since then. So I want to get into how BOLDSITE's evolved over the last couple of years. And anyone listening that wants to get their swag worn, good swag gets worn. So send swag and it'll probably end up on my person for sure. I'm running out of closet space though. I might have to start thinning the herd on hats.
Yeah. Well, next you're gonna get a vest in your closet. So
deal, especially for these cold Northeast winters that we're almost through.
I know. So yeah.
So I've got the Grandscape behind me, and that's in a much warmer place. So let's maybe we'll put our thinking caps on and go on a journey with you. Bob Johns, how'd you get into out of home?
Sadly, I'm probably going to give up my age here in a little bit with this, but out of school, it started on the agency side. I was actually a broadcast media buyer for what is now Kara USA. I don't even know what they call it USA anymore, just Kara. And I was here in New York. I started doing business development for them at kind of a younger age, and they moved me out to Chicago to help kind of build some clients up out there, do new business development on the agency side. And I quickly kind of recognized that as much as I thought at the time that I didn't want to be a media salesperson, I realized I was a media salesperson. Mm-hmm. And it was funny, starting in the broadcast side of the business, was very, you're buying, again, this was, I'll say back in the day, but you're buying your, GRPs, 18 to 49. I need to put together this media buy. It's got to be at this cost per point, and so on.
85% reach, 5 frequency.
Yeah, exactly, all that. So I got to put that together, and to me, no offense to the folks in the broadcast business, it just didn't, it didn't do it for me. That's why I kind of started shifting into helping to do business development and so forth. But it was funny that on a lot of the business pitches that I was going on, when clients would, undoubtedly ask, what's new and exciting in media? What can you do for us that's different? I realized that I was always talking to my out of home department, and I was always coming in with ideas that were somewhere in the realm of the out of home landscape, and had started to become friendly with some of the folks at that point from, what was then called TDI, which is now the transit division of Outfront. Lo and behold, I started as a national account executive, in Chicago. I was, obviously primarily responsible for helping to sell all the CTA assets back then. That's now an intersection property, I believe. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the business. And again, I'll age myself. That was back in 2000. And I found myself, really just absolutely, not surprisingly, falling in love with out of home, and not just transit, but just, the medium's ability to connect with people throughout their daily lives, and the media continue to evolve, and that to me, that's what's been probably the most exciting over my, again, 22-year run. I mean, it's been that long.
He's just getting started, folks.
It's just, but again, that's the fun part about it. And again, I don't need to give my full resume here, but moved back to New York in 2007. Took over as the sales manager on the billboard side for what was, again, then CBS Outdoor at that point, which became Outfront. So I kind of had half of my career at Outfront on the transit side, and the back half of it was kind of on out and in the traditional outdoor side, but also overseeing all of our large format assets in Times Square, and helped with the conversion of a couple of those into digital. And this was kind of early on in the days of Times Square becoming the digital landscape that it is today. So that's kind of, where my love of digital started as well. And my understanding of, or my growth in my understanding of, how visual landscapes can be created. And spent some time post Outfront with a great consulting firm called Sensory Interactive. And my role there was to kind of help property owners understand what the revenue streams look like in environments like Grandscape or American Dream, or even within Times Square or other large format digital environments. Found myself wanting to get back in the out of home side, like the ownership side. Partnered up with Big Outdoor, and then Big Outdoor, when we were awarded the American Dream property in New Jersey.
And for folks that don't know about the American Dream, paint a little bit of that picture, because as a New Jersey resident, the American Dream has been, frankly, like, it was an eyesore for longer than it wasn't. But it's a monster project.
It's a monster project. Yeah. So again, for those of you out there who don't know what American Dream is, it is a 3.2 million square foot. I'll refer to it as a destination retail and entertainment environment. Over 300 plus stores, restaurants that are all supported by or highlighted by the first ever indoor ski slope in North America called Big Snow. There is the largest indoor theme park in the world, the Nickelodeon Universe theme park. Again, largest indoor theme park in the world. The place is bananas.
This is in a mall.
This is all indoors. This is all 365 days a year of perfect weather for whatever you want to do, right?
Right next to like Giant Stadium, right?
Right next to MetLife Stadium. Right.
Yeah.
Next, so when you're
Giant Stadium. Look at me. Look at dating. Speaking of dating ourselves.
Not that I'm a Giants or a Jets fan, by the way, but nonetheless, yes, it is. It is right next to MetLife Stadium, right at the intersection of Route 3, the Jersey Turnpike. So just massive audiences there. And also, by the way, it's 4.2 miles from the mouth of the Lincoln Tunnel. So, like, again, we all know Lincoln Tunnel traffic, but you could be from Midtown out to American Dream in less than 15 minutes.
I mean, come on.
It's right there. And so there's the water park that's there is the largest indoor wave pool in the world, the largest indoor water park in North America. The wave pool itself can create up to like 6-foot waves. It's got like this crazy, don't even ask me to describe the technology, but it creates surfable waves. My understanding is that CC Sabathia, former Yankees pitcher, would actually go there in the morning and take surf lessons in the morning before the place opens up.
Wow.
And the places, and there's a NHL size ice rink. There's going to be coming down the road is an indoor karting experience. that's going to launch hopefully later this year. There's a whole luxury wing that's anchored by Saks Fifth Avenue and Tiffany's. There's a 2-story Hermes townhouse there. There's Gucci is the Gucci store, just all high end. Yeah, that's its own section of the retail environment. It's called the Avenue, right? And in all these areas, we have built out these with our partners at SNA Displays, and now through their subsidiary Infuse Digital. We're partnered together with them to help monetize the massive digital platform that they built. And we got involved in this like construction boots and hard hats. Right.
Still working on building the mall itself.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the water park, the theme park, the ice rink, those were all outside when I first started. They didn't have roofs over them yet.
We hadn't built the inside yet. We just literally hadn't built the stuff to go inside.
It was just dirt, and so it's kind of fun to see renderings come to life when you're working on developments like this. And some of it amazes me sometimes the work that our partners in the design and architecture side of our business, when you're talking about these larger, kind of retail mixed use lifestyle center destination environments, it's amazing to see what they create from a rendering perspective and to watch it actually come to life and literally look like the rendering 2 years later or whatever. It's fascinating. But yeah, when we were approached about American Dream, I had a lot of the same, I'll admit, and many of us do who've lived in the New York area for long enough and have seen American Dream evolve to what it is now, to what it unfortunately was back in 2007, 2008. It became a shell of a property for a number of years. And to see it evolve and become what our partners at 555 have developed there, it's unbelievable. So anybody, if you haven't been and you've been curious, go check it out, because it's I'm telling you, it's like nothing you've ever been in, unless you've been to Dubai, which I have not, but it's insane. And they saw about 12 million visitors last year, maybe a little bit more than that. So even in the midst of kind of coming through the pandemic, and hopefully we're even more now getting to the end of that, but it's great. And like I said, our media platform, not only do we have an interior media platform that's 102, we have the luxury network, and we have the other network called the Universe Network.
And this is all inside.
What I'm talking about now is all inside. It's 138 displays, one network. Every sign and every display is completely synchronized, right?
Wow. So every screen is playing the same ad at the same time.
So imagine, again, it's not the scale of the size of time, but imagine being in Times Square and literally every single display was running your ad, was running Posh Peanut, was running Mick.
It's powerful.
So it is, when we as an industry talk about creating unique, immersive brand experiences, that's everything that we wanted to bring to the table. So when I, again, boots on, hard hats, looking at renderings, trying to figure out, okay, what's going to go here and what's going to go there, it was an eye-opening experience for me to like, wow, like we can really create some unreal brand connections here. And one of the conversations I had early on with our partners at SNA was that I'm like, what would it take for us to make sure that every single asset is uniquely addressable? Meaning that, you don't have all of the key, again, and a lot of NetWiz is not terribly unique, but to do it for 138 units in a 3+ million square foot environment, the amount of cable that was run, the amount of fiber.
Any estimates? Do we have like mileage amounts of cable?
I'm sorry, I actually forget the number, but when the folks at SNA told me, I was like, wow. I almost felt kind of bad, but at the same time, but what we created there is an opportunity that, if a brand wants to literally create a moving environment there where assets, where content moves from asset to asset in some type of a manner, or if you wanted, in the network, there's 120 different kiosks in the network, right? If you wanted 120 different pieces of creative to run, it would kill my operations team to do that. but we could.
Don't worry, I know a few of those people we want to introduce.
So anyhow, it's, we really created a very unique environment. And when, you and I were kind of on the lead in here, we're talking about untapped opportunities. One of them at I think specifically at American Dream, is that we haven't really had a client yet that has really taken that to task, right? Has really kind of said, all right, we've got these corridors where there's 4 wall-mounted LCDs coming in from the parking garages on either side that kind of create this immediate brand corridor. Have an auto client come in and have a whatever it is, a Land Rover driving unit to unit.
How cool.
Back to the other side as you're driving down. I think we really haven't had that level of content yet. So I'm digging for the time that I can get, do a creative walkthrough, right? Let me grab the creative director. Let's walk through this place. Let's conceptualize what we can do together, because every unit's got its own unique address, obviously, and we can do some amazing stuff in there.
I'd love to talk to you after this, Bob, about a follow-up piece of content. There's a great videographer we've worked with a bunch at One Screen. He's here in Jersey. He's world-class. He gets out of home. He shoots Times Square probably more than anybody else. I would love to do an additional piece of content that we go through and explore this, like Anthony Bourdain of Billboards, if you'd be down for that.
I'd get
that set up.
Done. Can we, I tell you what, let's close this up right now and go get working on it. Right?
Done. Because the way you've described that's amazing. To do that kind of, somebody recently asked, what it would take to do the Times Square takeover that Fenny did. It kind of created a ton of buzz and gave them the idea, it's in the $1 million range, if you're serious, have that amount of money. But it sounds like you could create just as immersive a campaign in a arguably more interesting environment than Times Square. Don't shoot the messenger, but
no, listen, I'm not really cool. I spent a lot of, I spent a lot of my career in, marketing and selling and developing and converting assets in Times Square and it's not to knock it all. And quite honestly, it's like I said, I like to think of what we do is, taking the concept of a takeover in Times Square and putting it into the largest destination environment in the country. And that's really what we've tried to create there. We've built an exterior asset. We've got a exterior network of 7 large format digitals that kind of surround all the entry points into American Dream, and also 6 of the 7 actually face MetLife Stadium parking.
Wow.
So, football season, now that we had, obviously NFL was back this year, it was an absolute home run. In fact, client behind you, we had Mick Ultra actually running on there for throughout the season with our partnership with AB and the folks at Poster Scope. And so we've had some great brands run on that exterior network. And what we're actually building now is kind of the ultimate experience, brand experience at American Dream. Is we're in early development for a 20,000 square foot LED that will wrap around the outside of Nickelodeon. So if you've driven past the outside of the theme park is this, it's this big rounded exterior facade. And we're building a 20,000 foot, or the main display is about 18,000. And there's some tower LEDs as well. So it's just under 21,000 square feet actually. And that's an opportunity for one brand. It's a sponsorship opportunity. We're working with our partners at Paramount Projects. They're my sponsorship partners on the property. And we're just starting to talk to brands about that opportunity, but that's incredible. That is it's a sponsorship opportunity only. It's not a transactional media opportunity. Mm-hmm. It is one brand, multi-year deal. When you get it, you own the entire thing. And I'm telling you right now, Yes, it's the sale. This is the sales guy talking right here, but it will be one of the top 5 displays in the country, hands down.
You heard it here first. March 1st. I don't know when this is going to come, but March 1st was the day he said it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you said it before this too.
I probably said it before this. Yeah.
I'm sure of it, but like, knowing the area, knowing the traffic, like just right, putting all of the chips on the table that this is a premier world-class destination.
Yeah.
The audience that it attracts, the audience that it reaches indirectly, just driving past it or at a Giants or Jets game day or a different event, like the impact to the tri-state that touches is really, really significant. We talked a little bit in the lead up about data.
Yes.
Like, how do you, the opportunity makes sense. Like, I'm over here chomping at the bit. I could think of like a few people that I want to, bring the interior stuff to already. But where do you see the growth coming from for BOLDSITE specifically? Is it through data-driven conversations? Is it expanding relationships? Like, where's the growth coming from?
I think right now it's still about some about education and marketing. I had to say, this is a behemoth of again, we're talking about American Dream specifically. Obviously,
sure.
The project behind you, Grandscape, is another one that we're really, really proud of as well. But we got our start. I started the company, kind of did a lot of legwork behind it for about a year, and we're getting ready to launch this thing and really go out into the marketplace and start selling media, and the world shut down. Right. So we kind of did a little bit better than we certainly did a lot, not a little bit, did a lot better than just treading water for a little while, waiting for things to open back up. And when they did, it became a bit of a slow roll of kind of doing that. But I don't think it's tough to, when you don't have this platform. I hate saying that's why I'm very appreciative to be here and talking, and hopefully a lot of people listen to this. Have you. Is that it's not easy to tell the whole story. And you were joking before about one sheets.
Sure.
You can't tell the American Dream story in a one sheet. And by the way, us having this conversation today, I feel like I'm still just scratching the surface on it, and trust me, my family is deathly tired of hearing about it. But it's a fascinating experiment in so many ways, not just from the property itself, but from a media platform experience, how we're approaching it, how we're, continuing to try to evolve our conversation with brands and what they can do, as we were talking before, with content even. So I think our short term right now is certainly, our growth is going to be based on getting more and more clients engaged in the property, getting more clients to come see the property. And I understand it's, listen, it's a challenge has been a challenge to get people to want to go out and do a tour of an indoor massive environment where a lot of people are, right? So kind of a difficult time to launch a media platform that is specifically geared towards people collecting in the same place, right?
And again, you said 12 million visitors last year, though.
12 million visitors last year, yeah. And I think, again, I can't project exactly what the numbers, but we'll certainly well exceed that by the end of this year. And what's interesting, to your point, from a growth perspective, from an audience platform, is that we haven't seen international tourism pick up yet.
Great point.
So, and I think that, the numbers that we're seeing for the most part are people coming from the tri-state area and/or Western Pennsylvania or DC or whatever. But like the hot spot, we're talking about Placer AI, right? So right, I like to look at Placer AI and kind of say, like, all right, so how do we differ from other? There's nothing else like us as far as American Dream, but you've got other major retail properties in northern New Jersey, right? So I like to look at the heat map, or like, where are their people coming from and where are people coming from? And what I've seen time and time again, every time I look at this, is that the American Dream audience, right, is that we're pulling not only just from northern New Jersey and central New Jersey. Our hot spot, it includes all of New York City, all the way up into Westchester, hot pockets in Connecticut, all the way into Long Island, and there's no other, there's no retail center, and again, I don't want to name competitors or anything like that, but no retail center in northern New Jersey draws that much from it. Maybe one does, but not all of them, right? So it's interesting when you look at it. We're talking to advertisers, and of course, listen to our agency clients out there. I'm constantly pitching. I get the RFP for New York City for a particular brand. And I'll be like, listen, this makes sense for American Dream. Here's the reason that it does. I know you're looking for New York City, but understand that our hotspot, our audience is coming from New York City, right? So we're not just getting Northern New Jersey. So when you look at, our ability to pull in an audience is that, like I said, we're not just another mall in New Jersey, right?
You have an audience,
and how do you audience, and we have a draw that's coming in, and people are coming there. Listen, if you're looking to go buy a new pair of running shoes, you're going to go to your local, whatever your local malls, right? Sure. That's not why you come. It's not, maybe you want to buy a new pair while you're there, but you're coming for the experience of America. You're
making a day of it. This is something that, like, we're putting the kids in the car and we're going to it. It's not someplace we're just stopping by on our way out to pick up dog food.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find that resonating? Do you find agencies being more receptive of the audience story? Yeah, I've heard, differing ends. Maybe it's a spectrum, but how have you found that resonate?
I think it depends on the brand sometimes, and it depends on. Listen, I think that there are a certain number of preconceived, notions about, we're not buying malls, right? Okay.
Right.
Like,
okay, sure.
Really, I get it. Like, you're not buying mall media. Well, We're not mall media, right? If you want us to be like, I joke around that I could talk out of two sides of my mouth with that. It's like, you need us to be a mall. We can certainly be a mall, but we're really not a mall.
Sure.
Right? So, so I think that we need to kind of break that mold of being put into a certain bucket. And I think that part of the challenge that we have, we've got all of these, amazing partners and amazing platforms that are out there in terms of all the, the various exchanges and the various out-of-home, planning platforms and so forth. And when you're downloading your inventory, you have to pick, not all of them, but many of them, you have to pick a category. Like, so what is this? Right? It's like,
classify yourself.
Classify yourself. Okay. If I were to classify American Dream, it's destination media, and that's what BOLDSITE, that we feel that we are a destination media company. Right. And do you think that there's not a single, that's not a drop down, right?
Right.
You hit the carrot, and it drops down the menu, and it's like, well, are we a mall? Are we place-based? Are we like what, so we get kind of, we got to be put in a bucket somewhere. And I think that's somewhat I hate to say it, somewhat to our detriment at some point, to kind of be placed in that, because we're kind of forging a little bit of new ground with this. And I think, I joke sometimes that I like to think that someday, that drop down carrot is going to have the word destination media in there. Right. And like, that's what people are, that's what people are looking for. Right. And that's environments, skipping off of American Dream for a second, but, the property that, you and I did some work on at Grandscape in North Dallas, is another great example of that. It's within the, North Dallas suburbs. If anybody knows North Dallas, between Plano and Frisco, that entire area of the marketplace has absolutely exploded over the last decade, and that doesn't look like it's got any signs of stopping. There's this massive destination called Grandscape that's anchored by a huge home goods store called Nebraska Furniture Mart. The place is bonkers. But they built this, wonderful mixed use development lifestyle center. It is outdoor as opposed to American Dream, which is all indoors. But yeah, so we work, where we work together, but that's another example of, yes, it's a lifestyle center, but we kind of feel like it's more, it's a little bit more than just a lifestyle center. It's a destination. It's a place that people from, more than 20 miles away from are going to be coming to, right? It's your stop to the point you're making before. It's your stop for the day, right? We're going to go there to do some shopping. We're going to have lunch. We're going to stay there for a concert on the Great Lawn. Maybe we're going to go to the go-karting place afterwards or whatever it is. It's more of a, like I said, I'll use the word again. It's a destination. As opposed to a shopping center.
Yeah, so, I love the classification. And Bob Johns, today, also another momentous day, this March 1st, 2022. What I'm going to do as soon as we get off from recording here, I'm going to the product team and we're going to add it to the one screen directory as a classification. We're fixing that problem today. No longer a problem. Let's talk about Grandscape though, because that was for us. We included the Grandscape in a buy we did. Was it like October? I know it was right around Halloween time, September, October timeframe for great children's clothing brand. Awesome, like born online D2C brand that was scaling, a lot of the same challenges that digital marketers are having. I'm spending $500,000 on Facebook and it's getting more expensive and less effective. I can't measure it. My targeting isn't as good as it used to be. I need to find offline channels that I can profitably and predictably scale customer acquisition. So they came to us and they wanted to test out of home in a market that presented a high likelihood of success in yielding very high lifetime value customers. So we did a number of analyses and identified Dallas, Houston would be two great markets for that. But looking at the market and the way that the client wanted to approach the audience, like static roadside didn't really do it. Digital roadside didn't really do it. And when we started to get down to brass tacks, it was like, okay, we can have a couple of great static anchor points, but how are we going to reach this audience? And the Grandscape kept coming back, and every bit of research is like, this is a place that has a lot of those people. We were trying to reach an audience, women 25 to 55, over $150,000 income with young children in the house or children on the way. And the Grandscape was exactly that. And the opportunity that the brand got to use all of the formats, all of the screens. You got the great big spectacular here in the pond, but you've got digital kiosks. You've got, a number of units. I think, was it 4 different formats on the property that the brand was able to take advantage of, user-generated content, that they were able to take advantage of animation, that they were able to do all of these things, and it drove results. And we were able to measure it back to transactions, people going to the website and buying stuff. And that was really exciting for an advertiser that, again, born online, had never done anything in the real world, was ready to break free. It's that Wreck-It Ralph moment of, hey, I'm going to escape the internet and get out into the real world. And the Grandscape allowed them to do that in a way that created a really big brand impact with a very specific audience. And as we were describing American Dream, and as we've talked a little bit about the Grandscape, mall media, it isn't what it used to be. I went to the mall the other day and I walked through. I'm like, this place used to be crawling with people. And I talked to the guy at the Apple store. I was like, seems a little dead. And he's like, no, it's just how it is, man. Like, there's no people here. Like they come for the Cheesecake Factory and the Apple store. The rest of the mall is completely dead. Yeah. But I saw ads running on screens and I was like, oh no, there's no people here. Like, mall media is not created equal. BOLDSITE is not mall media; it's destination media, and there's a distinct difference.
Yeah, and I listen. It's not to knock mall media by any means, and I think that I think brick and mortar retail, and there's obviously there's a ton of research to support it, is still and actually I believe had a growth year last year, surprisingly. Is that traditional, malls, I think, have had to redefine themselves, and, partners of ours like American Dream and like Grandscape have taken the idea of redefining the mall to the next level. Right. There was the evolution, I think, from the mall to, lifestyle center. And I think lifestyle center, again, to me is now transitioning into these larger kind of destinations. And don't get me wrong, I think there's some lifestyle centers out there as well that I would look at them and be like, yeah, I would classify that as a destination as well. Something like, I think at the top of my head, something like the Grove or something like that in LA, right? That these are properties that are well represented by folks in the industry, but perhaps looking at them through a little bit of a different lens than I am at this point. And that's not to say that I've got all the right answers or they've got all the right answers. It's just kind of trying to look at the environment and the way that, this is what it comes down to really, is the way that audiences have the opportunity to interact with those displays in that environment to create a brand experience. That's a big, soundbite right there. But
that's it.
But that's really what it's about. It's been an exciting journey, from to kind of, especially with, trust me, American Dreams had not had its shortages of challenges and still does. But what's proving out though is that the concept is proving itself out from the audiences that are going there. Every single person that you talk to who's been there is just like, I can't believe this place, right? And I talked to people in the Dallas marketplace as well. I said, oh, where do you live in Dallas? I literally ran into a guy yesterday from Dallas. Introduced to me by a friend of mine. I'm like, oh, where do you live? He's like, oh, I live up near Plano. No kidding. I'm like, so you get to Grandscape? Oh my God, I'm at Grandscape every weekend with my family. I'm like, that's great. What do you think about it? Oh, I love the Shields. Oh my God, the go-karting place is nuts. He's like, it takes you 3 weeks ahead to get reservations in that place. He's like, the movie theater is fantastic, and he's like, I was like gushing about it. I literally just mentioned the name and that was it. He was like, I'm there all the time. And it's like, it's great to hear. That's great to hear that people are having positive experiences in these places, especially everything obviously that's happened over the last couple of years. And that people have been anxious to get out and experience life again. And I think people have been, certainly over time, and we've had our bumps and bruises along the way, but the reality is that these destinations, I think, are primed for as we continue to emerge from where we've been at. I think they're primed for great success. I really do, and we're happy to be partners with some of the greatest ones in the country, and we hope to continue to build our platform. We've got a couple of irons in the fire right now in terms of future projects. And hope to be able to continue to partner with the ones that we have now. So, but it's fun, it's been a great ride. Like I said, no shortage of challenges, but that's life,
That's life.
That's life. So
you've got a heck of a story, Bob Johns. There's lots of, I think, young budding account executives listening to this right now thinking, gosh, where could I be in 20 years? Right. It's incredible to hear this story, the names.
I hesitated on sharing the year. I truly did.
I think it's great. I think it's really important to hear as somebody who's new to the industry. Like, it makes me think, right? Like, where could my career be in 20 years? Like, it's incredible how much can change when you let things evolve. So thank you for sharing that story and for all the important work that you're doing with BOLDSITE and just creating these are incredible, memorable brand experiences. This has been a lot of fun. Bob, what's the Latin long? How do folks find you? Where do they get in touch? Give everybody the down low.
Well, email to me personally, quite honestly, is just Bob Johns, no dot. I've anybody who's known me in the industry, it's always just Bob Johns. So it's when I made my email. So it's just BOBJOHNS@boldsite.com. Send me an email. Any questions, comments, concerns, all the above. Obviously our email, our website is boldsite.com. Obviously you can find us on LinkedIn, Instagram. Feel free to follow us. We really didn't even touch on, quite honestly, the evolution of the company. I don't know how much more time we've got here, but
coming up against it, but maybe give us a hot take for the follow-up episode.
Real quick. It's, in the middle of COVID, we partnered together with one of my closest industry friends, a guy named John Rieselman. Yep. And he's been doing some work on the West Coast. John is the best. So what we have been doing on the West Coast, in addition to some digital assets, we call it our I-5 domination, right at the Citadel Mall outside of downtown LA. But the biggest thing that we've been having a massive amount of success with, we created a new platform called our Sunset Streetscapes. And we like to say that, if the destination isn't already there, we'll create it. And that's exactly what these streetscapes are, where we work with property owners, specifically on Sunset Boulevard, to take properties that are being unused or underutilized. And through agreements that we have, and we get with the city of West Hollywood, we're able to take over properties and just do kind of massive property takeovers and do all kinds of experiential stuff. And our entertainment brands are loving it. We're continuing to build out a little bit of our presence in Venice Beach right now. Venice Beach is having a little bit of a renaissance, I would say, post-COVID, and a bunch of new restaurants are moving in there. Not that Venice Beach was not a place you'd want to be, but it's turning over a lot of brand new restaurants. We've got a couple of murals there as well. So it's kind of, that's a little bit about our LA stuff, but the streetscape platform as well has just been an amazing brainchild of John and our operations team on the West Coast. So
let's do this. Let's get Bob. Bob Johns. When you partner with a guy named John and your last name's Johns,
yeah,
sometimes it can lead to a little bit of a tongue twister there. Let's get John.
We'll get John on next time.
Let's get John on and talk all about that, because the number of times we get a request for Sunset and it's, obviously super sought after, and, it's not always the right fit. There might be a better fit. And that's really, really interesting. I think that a lot more people need to know about what you got going on there.
They're really great. They're amazing. You want to stand out. That's the way to do it right now.
Yeah.
So
let's get that.
There's only so many properties that we have that we can do it with. So we sell out pretty quickly.
Sure.
Which is, again, a nice problem for us to have. But, that said, they're really unreal. So
excellent. We're going to do it. We're going to do a part two. We'll get that queued up. And as always, if you found this to be helpful, please share it with somebody who could benefit. Make sure to smash that subscribe button down there in the corner, or click the little follow if you're listening over on Apple Podcasts, iTunes. I don't even know what the heck they call it these days. And as always, we'll see y'all next time.
Quarter century, I finally came to my senses. I finally got my hand up on the tinted Benz, kid. I see the world clear through my tinted lenses. With the dream and the drive, the possibilities endless. Now print that, send this all the way to Tokyo. Take a trip down south, down to Mexico. Next stop, Shanghai, the world-class trade show. First class all the way, cause that's how we roll. Yeah, call us the rock star businessman. Rockin' shows, we handle business, man. We got our own future in the palm of our hands, cause divided we